In the north of Europe, in a land of cliffs and fjords, there lived a group of people, known by their ships and swords. Many call them Vikings, but according to this source,
Viking is their word for sailor. The people's name is Norse.
the Nordic people were feared throughout the North Sea and Atlantic. When other folk saw them approach, they started to get frantic. There are many stories throughout the lands that speak of Viking raiders, but there was more to the Norse than just being cruel invaders.
At home, we are all farmers and we work and till the land.
We hunt, we fish, we tell stories of quests of heroes grand.
Like Odin the Warfather, with his one eye and his raven, he'd ride his horse into the fight to defend his kingly haven.
Don't forget the Valkyries. Those are my favorite tales. From the skies they charged with spears and their frightful wails.
The stories they told kept them warm throughout the winter nights, as they sat around their fires beneath the northern lights. And even though this might seem quaint, and myths and legends dated, the fact you're hearing my voice right now is distantly related.
We too like to hear stories that calm us when we're scared.
Or need to learn a lesson, or help us be prepared.
And though they might be fiction, it's through them we're inspired.
To be strong when we feel weak, or to push on when we're tired.
And in the same way, the stories that the radio regales brings us thoughts and wisdom.
It's time for Paws and Tales.
Hi, Mr. Jacobs.
Well, if it isn't Joy. Haven't seen you around in a while.
Yeah, you know, school stuff.
Ah, and what tales do you bring from the world of academia?
Huh?
Well, what's been going on in school?
Oh, math, science, you know, the basics. Oh, I've also been studying old myths from Viking history.
Ah, yes, the epic adventures of Odin, Freya, and Thor.
Those are the ones. I know it's all make-believe, but it's fun to learn about the stories people told each other way back then.
I always thought so. Any favorites so far?
Hey, Mr. Jacobs, can we talk to you a minute?
Oh, good morning, Kimberly, Peter. Is there something wrong?
We have a question about heaven.
Whoa, so deep so fast?
Yeah. Is there a lead up to this?
We'd better start from the beginning, Pete.
All right, well, it all started yesterday. I was at a friend's house when his sister came in crying.
Uh-oh. Was everything all right?
Evidence would say otherwise.
Crying is a pretty good sign that something isn't right.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, to make it a short story, it turns out that their pet cat died and she had just found out.
Yeah. I've had that happen to me before. It's always hard.
What's this got to do with heaven?
I was getting to that part. Her mom came in and explained that everything was going to be okay and that her cat had gone to kitty heaven.
I get it now.
But the thing is, I didn't know kitty heaven was a place. I don't remember reading about it in the Bible.
I think it's ridiculous. We all know how people go to heaven. Jesus died for our sins, and if we believe that and ask for his forgiveness, we're good. Right?
Sounds accurate, but there is a difference between God's relationship with people and his relationship with animals.
Yeah. Jesus didn't get born as a cat and die for all of their sins. Like I said, it's a little silly.
Well, that'd be Brian. Hold that thought, kids. I'll be right back.
It's good to see some things never change.
What's that supposed to mean? He got interrupted just when the conversation was getting somewhere.
Yeah, you get used to it after a while. Want to listen to the radio while we wait for him to get back?
I guess.
Is Mr. Jacobs ever going to get off the phone?
He has been on there for a while. Yeah? What do you think he's talking about, Flynn?
Well, I hope he doesn't talk for too much longer. He might forget all about my question about if animals go to heaven or not.
I still think it can't be true.
Why do you say that, Kim?
Okay, think about it. Do you know how many animals there have been in the history of the world? Billions, trillions. There would be so many animals up there right now, they'd be falling out of the sky.
So what you're saying is it would be raining cats and dogs.
Sure, make jokes, but you know I'm right, Joy.
But if it's not true, then why would my friend's mom say that it was?
Oh, you know parents, Pete. They'll say anything to get kids to calm down.
What exactly did she say about their cat, Peter?
Well, As well as I can remember, she said something about all pets going across some sort of bridge. A rainbow bridge?
A rainbow bridge? Are you sure?
I think so. It was some sort of bridge that goes to heaven where people can meet their dogs and stuff on. I don't know, it sounds a little weird to me.
And yet, familiar.
Familiar? You mean like you read it in the Bible or something?
No, in this book I've been studying for school.
Norse mythology? What's that?
It's the stories that the Vikings used to tell each other. See? Here it is. The Rainbow Bridge. A way that they said was how people got to and from heaven.
Wait, is your friend a Viking?
I don't think so. His family doesn't wear hats with horns on them.
Actually, that's not real. Vikings didn't wear those.
Well, obviously we've got a problem here, being able to tell what is real or not. Is Mr. Jacobs anywhere close to being done on the phone?
I'll go check.
And Peter and I will keep listening to the radio.
All right, so anything happened while I was on the phone?
Not really. We talked more about if animals go to heaven or not. Then Joy told us about how the Rainbow Bridge is really a story from the Vikings that obviously isn't real.
I didn't say that, Kim.
Okay, well, it's from their religion, so obviously it's wrong.
Is that true, Mr. Jacobs? Is the Rainbow Bridge not real?
Yeah, and what does the Bible say about pets going to heaven?
Well, obviously you've been having a pretty big discussion while I've been out. As for those two questions, I have some Bible verses in mind that might help us understand what's real and what isn't.
Okay, go ahead.
First off, concerning the Rainbow Bridge, it's true that this story is one of myth, and the Vikings, as far as I can figure, didn't know much about the one true God until missionaries came and told them. But this doesn't mean that they were wrong about there being bridges between heaven and earth.
Wait, what?
If we look at the story of Jacob in Genesis 28, we read that Jacob saw in a dream a staircase or a ladder that went up to heaven. On this stairway, he saw angels going up and down as they did God's work here on earth.
And did any of those angels look like animals?
The Bible doesn't say that any of them did, but I think this is where a lot of the ideas of a bridge between earth and heaven came from, because in this dream at least, there really was a connection between the two.
But no animals.
Right.
Okay, so does that mean that there aren't animals in heaven?
I wouldn't go so far as to say that, Peter. When God talks about heaven in the Bible, there do seem to be animals around.
Really?
That's right. In Isaiah 11, God says that where he lives, the wolves and leopards will sleep with goats and sheep, and the cow and the bear will hang together. It goes on to say that kids will play where the most poisonous of snakes live, and they will be perfectly safe.
That's kind of cool.
I don't know. The snake part is kind of creepy if you ask me. Ugh, I can't imagine there would be snakes in heaven. That would be really gross.
I understand. But I think that's what God was trying to explain by telling us about these animals. Heaven will be a place where the fears and mistrust of this earth will go away. We don't have to be afraid of loss, death, or getting hurt. Everything will be as God wanted it to be in the very beginning, before sin changed everything.
This is a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Well, while you guys think, I'm going to listen to the radio some more.
For someone who said they'd be listening to the radio instead of thinking, you look pretty thoughtful, Joy.
Oh, yeah. I was just noticing something.
What's that?
I noticed that Mr. Jacobs said the Bible talks about animals being in heaven, but he never said they go there.
I don't get it. What's the difference? If they are there, then they must have gotten there to begin with.
Maybe God made them in heaven, or maybe they're just symbols of how peaceful and safe heaven is and aren't really there at all.
You're really confusing me, Kimberly. Mr. Jacobs, does the Bible say that animals go to heaven or not?
To be perfectly honest, Pete, I'm not aware of any verses that say that they do. But before we say that they don't, we need to understand that God wrote the Bible to tell people about Him, not animals. So just because the Bible doesn't talk about it, doesn't mean that they do or don't.
So does God just not care about animals?
That's something the Bible does talk about, Joy. In many places like Proverbs 12:10, Hosea 2:18, and Matthew 10:29, it says that God cares about animals quite a bit. They were part of His perfect design in the beginning. And like it says in Romans 8, all of God's creation is waiting and ready for God to fix everything so that all of it goes back to the way God wanted it.
I guess that's cool. But we don't know isn't very comforting to people like Pete's friend's sister who just lost a pet.
I understand, but the verse that gives me hope to see my lost pets is 1 Corinthians 2:9, where it talks about how we can't even imagine the good things God has for us. And if we can't imagine seeing long-lost pets, well, let's just say that gives me peace.
Still, don't you go anywhere, Flynn.
Oh, I have a feeling Flynn's going to be a pretty common character for years to come, if I have anything to do with it anyway.
He'd better.
Oh, I've got to get home. Good to see you guys again. See you later.
Bye, Joy. Keep in touch.
I will.
We'd better get headed home, too. Thanks for giving us something to think about, Mr. Jacobs.
My pleasure, Kimberly. Want to get the radio on your way out?
I'll get it.